This is I don't even know what to say. So my last video I did discussing the original ending of Attack on Titan. I didn't think it was a great ending, but I also didn't think it was as terrible as everyone was making it out to be. I thought it was mainly something that needed time to settle down, for a little more analyzing of it to go on, and then, you know, as time passes and narratives change. However, we didn't even get the bonus of that because there were these new 5 pages that were added onward that changed even more from that original chapter 139. As I said when I was talking about the chapter, I thought visually it was really cool seeing the progression throughout the chapter, and seeing Eren how he truly felt on the inside. Although it did upset a lot of people, it made sense to me in my mind. I definitely do agree with the notion though that it was a chapter that left a lot more questions than answers, and a lot of the conclusions to most of the characters felt either non-present or unsatisfactory. However, the things that I did like in chapter 139 seem to have been kind of thrown out of the window with these 5 pages. It's kind of crazy to think how much 5 pages can change, but yeah. One of the things that I took away from chapter 139 was the Titans were no more, and Eren had accomplished that. However, with the recent 5-page extension, it turns out that that's not even going to be the case, and it feels then that everything that was pushed so hard for in the story was worthless. Now, from a positive sense, I will say it does make sense that if everything Eren tried to do, everything that he pushed for, in the end was futile, because as long as humanity exists, conflict will exist, which I totally agree with, but it feels just empty in it of that. And it really just feels so odd that an author like Isayama, who has carefully detailed his story from beginning up to that point, would take such a turn like this. And that's really what I want to get at with this video. Now, information did come to me that the editor that was for Attack on Titan during this was the same one for Domestic Girlfriend, and anyone who knows anything about Domestic Girlfriend knows that that's a giant red flag. And look, this doesn't provide excuses for all of the mishaps and questions that you might have about this final portion of Attack on Titan. However, for people to call Isayama a completely garbage author, knowing everything that he has built up in early Attack on Titan up to this ending, I think is a little too much of a stretch. These extra 5 pages seem to be nothing more than a sequel bait, the possibility of something continuing the Attack on Titan story like Boruto does for Naruto and what Dragon Ball Super does for Dragon Ball. Now, before I do get into that, I do want to say one of the great things about 139 and one of the great things about this is at least my boy Levi has gotten a good close. Everything that happened with Levi, I love that. Leave that. Please don't touch that. If there's a 140 and they mess up Levi, oh boy, oh, that's not gonna be good. But my biggest gripe with this, reading it, is it feels unnecessary. It feels unneeded. 139 was 139, and like I said, once that came out, as controversial as it was, give it time and we'll see what happens. But now adding these 5 pages that leave things even more open-ended just feels so odd to me. And the reality of the manga industry is how greedy it is, especially within the Shonen Jump demographic. I guarantee you, if they can find some way to continue One Piece, they will, with or without Oda. I mean, you look at a series like Naruto, and that's really how it feels like. A story that should have had a perfect closure, Naruto becoming the Hokage, and then that's it. But instead, we're thrown in this weird turn with Kaguya that then results into Boruto. And so, although I'm not saying that this means there's going to be an Attack on Titan sequel for sure. However, it being so open-ended, when a story like this was building up for a closure that was meant to answer the questions and leave it at that, just feels so odd and out of nowhere. There was really no need for these 5 pages extension, because all it did was just throw us more questions and take away the good things that were in 139. And like I said, 139 wasn't perfect, although I do believe there were positive aspects in that. You could go check out my 139 review to see that. It's one of those things where I had said in my review of 139 that a lot of the people who were upset at it, it seemed like it was because the story didn't fit their own personal headcanon. But these 5 pages added on now leave nothing but room for your own personal headcanon. And word and news had come around that Isayama himself felt regret for the ending that ended up happening. So it's just one of those things where I'm wondering whose hand is really being played here, and whether Isayama is even in full control of his story, or was. And if that is the case, then it's honestly a shame, and it leads to an even bigger problem within the manga industry. Authors being forced to write certain things that they don't want just for the sake of sales, which is why I'll always respect authors that are willing to leave magazines and take their own time. And even though this video is mainly about Attack on Titan, this does apply to Attack on Titan, and that's just how scary it is that any manga within a shonen magazine, heck, maybe even some seinen ones, can be so driven by greed that they're willing to throw an author under the bus for the sake of the possibility for more sales. And it really is quite a shame, because because, like I said, I don't think 139 is perfect. For me, it was a 6, 7 out of 10 chapter, even now. I think it was just fine. But yeah, any closure that we could have gotten from the story of Attack on Titan, which is all we could really grasp on, is now gone. And it just, man, look, if you're an AOT fan like I am a Berserk fan, my condolences, like, honestly. And I feel even worse for Isayama, because since his name is on this, he's gonna catch the majority of the heat. It's not gonna be whatever editor could have possibly been behind this. It's gonna be Isayama himself. He's got to live with this. However, with all that being said, I do want to remind people that I do think AOT, regardless, was a phenomenal story up to this point, even though I do think this ending was open-ended and led a lot to be desired, and especially these 5 pages extension, leaving this weird feeling of just, like, my goodness. I think it was a story that took a lot of pride early on with building up the details, the mystery, providing us with characters with phenomenal character arcs. However, with 5 pages alone, it feels like a lot of that is now meaningless. However, I don't think that should mean we should ignore all of the good things AOT provided throughout the years. But those are my thoughts on it at the current moment. Like I said, it's also going to be one of those things that we just have to wait and see over time what ends up happening, but it truly is a weird thing. 139 was whatever, but this, I'm trying to think of whatever positives I can bring out of it, other than the reality that conflict will continue to exist with or without Aaron's actions. But yeah, definitely not the best day, I would say, for AOT fans around the world. However, once again, these are just my personal thoughts on this. That doesn't mean what I say is right all the time, because I'm a flawed person, right? So read it yourself, come up with your own conclusions, and let me know what you think down in the comment section below. As always, this has been The Masked Man. Hope everyone has a blessed rest of the day, and peace.